The wide men have found little space in this contest.
I hope they don't trip on that bloody step.
It's not true of Olatico Chair at the moment, but certainly it's been true of the England team. Haven't seen that much of Hodge or of Trevor Stephen. And Maradona just walked away from Hoddle then. Valdano, Hodge and Maradona! They're appealing for offside. The ball came back off the foot of Steve Hodge, and Maradona gives Argentina the lead. The England players protesting to the referee. But the little man who started it by walking past Glenn Hoddle, that's where the ball came from Hodge. Maradona had continued the run forward.
Yeah, I think he was actually.
And the goal is given. At what point was he offside?
Oh no, wasn't it a back pass?
Or was it a use of the hand that England are complaining about?
I'm Yossi. I'm excited to be here. Thanks, Kלכליסט, for inviting me. This is probably the most famous goal in football history. 1986 quarterfinal, Argentina versus England, 4 years after the Falkland War. And Argentina won 2-1 with 2 goals from this guy, Maradona. 1 month ago, this guy, Diego Maradona, admitted that with today's technology, there was no chance he could escape with that goal. And this is something that is probably part of the past today. There's a lot of various possibilities for the referee to understand what is happening in real time, and also for the fans at home. Before we start, I'm here in order to talk about sports tech, and I have a distinguished guest with me, coming all the way this morning from Manchester United. So let me invite Tony Strudwick, Head of Performance, Manchester United.
To stand or sit down?
No, have a seat, please. Before we start, just in order to make sure we are all at the same page, I'm forming a new fund called Homer and Ventures, dedicated to investments in sports tech in Israel. So just to make everybody on the same page, sports is a huge industry, growing. A lot of money is being poured into teams, technologies, equipment, and so on. You can see sports tech investments. It's one of the fastest growing segments of technology investments in the world. 2016, 2.7 billion, and this year it will be another record year for that industry. So actually, what is sports tech? From my point of view, sports tech, behind that word, is the utilization of technology into sports, fitness, and wellness. So it can be from the scientific side, like performance enhancement and injury prevention and nutrition, and from the media side, like AR and VR and 360. And we have esports and wearables and smart stadiums and gear and equipment, for example, a faster bike or a safer helmet, into sports marketing, smart fabrics, and so on and so forth. So in general, a lot of things are relevant for sports tech. And it involves everyone from the sports, from the athletes themselves, the pro ones, and the amateur ones, to the fans, to the stadiums, to the publishers, brands, equipment manufacturers, and so on. In general, we are not good in sports in Israel. Let's admit that. But why would we would be very successful, I believe, in sports? Like we are already successful, but we would be probably the best in the world because we have the underlying technologies that are relevant for sports tech. From computer vision to artificial intelligence, machine learning, data and analytics, Internet of Things. All of these things are the building blocks of sports tech technology. That's a snapshot of the Israeli leading sports tech startups. Some of them you can see sitting here at the first row. And that's a snapshot of the Israeli investors into sports tech. So you can see that everybody is already there, including Baidu, Verizon, Intel, Samsung, and so on. Now, before we start and talk with Tony, 7 quick facts about Man United. Man United is the most successful team in England football history. They won a huge amount of titles. They are only English club to win the treble back in 1999. I was there as a huge fan of Manchester United. The highest earning football club in today's world, and the most valuable football club in 2017. So with no further delays, we'll start talking. So hi, Tony.
Hi, Yossi.
Again. So we were mentioning Man United. What does it mean to you personally to work for such a great club?
I think what's unique about Manchester United has probably been the sustained success over so many years. So where Leicester won the Premier League 2 years ago, the remit of Manchester United is to compete year on year. So for me on a personal level, it's being at the forefront of pushing sustained high performance. And I think that's probably what it means to people at the club. Yes, we have a history, we have a culture of success, and I think that drives us even from an innovation point of view, because when you're at the forefront of your industry, you're compelled to keep looking for innovations, whether that's from sport itself or the military or the medical. So that's what it means to us, is that we're proud to work for Manchester United because it's synonymous with success.
Could you elaborate? What does it mean to be the head of performance? What are your responsibilities? What is your exact position?
Yeah, I think that my current role as head of performance is essentially ensuring that our academy players, which is circa 160 players through the academy, receive the best service support. So from a psychology perspective, sports science perspective, strength and conditioning, performance analysis, and obviously medical. So, and I think a lot of the models now, Yossi, around the world, more and more clubs are looking to recruit younger and younger players. And that way we can wrap a real sort of asset management model around them players to develop world-class players, a la Paul Pogba, who was at Manchester United as a 16-year-old. So that's my current role, is to ensure that our young players receive world-class services to maximise player development and performance.
Now, the football world in general and the English Premier League in particular are traditionally very conservative. How open are they today to adopt technology?
I think that's changing. I think when you look at the modern game, in particular the Premier League, since 2002, the high-intensity component, so high intensity is a distance covered at high speed, that's doubled. When you look at the average midfielder, he has 2 touches, and it's probably around 2 seconds. So the game is getting quicker. So now Premier League clubs are compelled really to look at ways to improve performance, because the game is moving at such a speed that we have to keep up with the game, and we have to prepare our clubs to do that. So consequently, the conservative approach of holding back and not sharing data and not looking outside of sport, that's very much changing. It's very much a model now where we're all looking for performance improvements, we're all looking for the edge, and we're all looking for that, to repeat winning moments. So we can't afford to be conservative, because if we hold behind, then our competitors will move beyond us.
Can you give an example of a technology, a breakthrough technology that you are now using in a club?
Yeah, I think at Manchester United, and even in, Sir Alex Ferguson was at Manchester United for 26 years, and one of the things where he stood out from his counterparts was that he was a keen innovator. He was always looking for the edge, whether that be he introduced sports science, and we were the first club probably 10 years ago to go with GPS technology for player tracking. We were one of the first clubs in the country to create a performance lab, certainly the first club in the Premier League to have a performance lab where we were collecting biometrics on a daily basis. We were one of the first clubs. I mean, obviously, if anybody's been to Manchester, it rains for 360 days a year, so we have an issue with sunlight and vitamin D, so we were the first club to import a light lab to expose our players to light. Because
I thought to import sun. No.
Yeah, because we're an artificial sun, and we recruit a lot of players from South America, and there's a lack of sunlight, and there's a link also with the sunlight and lack of vitamin D. So we've always been, and particularly driven by Sir Alex Ferguson, it was always about keeping that competitive edge, looking out there, and that was something that he was very, very strong year on year.
Okay. What is the process for Man United to adopt a new technology? How long does it take? How should you approach the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're working with elite performers, I think we have a responsibility not to just go with the latest fad, or not to be disrespectful, the latest gimmick. So we have to apply a sports science strategy to really think through what, if we're going to innovate and we're going to adopt something for our players, we have to being sure of the quality control. So we would probably launch something internally, iterate as we go along. But obviously now we're such a big organization, it's tied in with our commercial partners, and so new startups, it's very difficult to get in the door. And I mean, obviously we have to have a level of responsibility of what we do execute out to the players.
And you would prefer a startup to approach you early and then maybe gain an advantage, a competitive advantage, or you would prefer a technology that was already tested in other clubs and you will buy it now for sure?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, because obviously we want the edge. So invariably, we have worked with a number of companies, startups really, to try to get that competitive edge, because as soon as it comes out, everybody's got that technology, so we would prefer that. However, you know, we are also compelled to make sure it's tried and tested.
Okay, I know. I heard that you met an Israeli startup last week.
Yes.
How was it?
Yeah, very good. I mean, Player Maker. So this is wearable technology that we can track, particularly in our academy. We can track number of touches and movements on the ball, which is pivotal to us, because we want information on our young players. We need to be abreast of how many touches they're having, the distance covered in training, and because now we're compelled to take that player from under 9 right the way through to under 23, and we have to track that performance pathway into our first team.
Now, just to make sure for the startups in the crowd, would Manchester United invest in a startup, in a technology? Not as a client, but as an...
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something well above my pay grade. I think that's probably linked into the commercial and marketing. I think there's a process. I think it's a diligent process that they have to go through. But I think, you know, again, Manchester United are at the forefront of looking for unique opportunities. So if the opportunity was right, I'm sure if they spoke to the right people, then I'm sure that would be a pathway through. Okay.
In your opinion, what would be the next game-changer technology in football?
Well, I mean, if you look at Jesse Owens, he ran the 100 meters in 1936, and he ran a time of 10.3 seconds. Usain Bolt, 80 years later, runs 9.77 seconds. So from a physiological perspective, we're not really changing human physiology. I think we've got a good grasp of where we are from a physical perspective. And if you think about the technological changes in shoe technology, track technology, I don't think the human race has moved that far forward from a physical perspective. That being said, we are in an area of the expanding athlete universe with big players. I think the next game changer will certainly be innovations above the neck. And what I mean by that are innovations that can increase cognitive development, speed of decision. Like I said before, the average midfielder in the Premier League has less than 2 seconds on the ball. So any method of increasing the speed of decision-making, the appropriateness of decision-making, and really training our players in pressure situations to deliver at critical moments. So I see really, whether that's immersive technology, virtual reality, and we're there. We're now in a space where we can download our game from a Saturday and relive that game on a Sunday 24 hours later. And then we can relive it from every position on the pitch, the player's view, the coach's view. We can do that. What we've got to do, maybe the next step, is really delve into, how we facilitate and really maximize decision-making. Because when we talk about fine lines in sport and performance, it really is about decision-making under pressure in a very, very short time frame. So I see the next innovations in sport are all to do with whether it would be neural development, cognitive development, and decision-making.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. What is the single best advice that you would give an Israeli player or an Israeli coach from your experience and profession? We need many, but choose one.
I think it's about how you make smart decisions. I think, when you're involved in a game, there's a lot of noise in a game. So I think, the whole essence of coaching is to improve performance. So for me, it's about identifying the right metrics. So look at the right things that will improve performance. And I think too many coaches get wrapped up in subjectivity and they need an objectivity, and identify what really makes a difference. And I think that's. Yeah, of course.
Okay, now maybe an easier question. An advice you can give to a young entrepreneur in the field of sports tech, starting now today his sports tech venture. Any advice you would think about? I
think from on the other side of the fence, I think the thing that startups need to appreciate is what unique difference is it going to make? What's your point of difference? I think the other thing around that is there a stickability factor? Wearable technology is not new anymore, but can we change that? Can we make it smaller? Can we make it more accessible to the athlete? Can we make the data that is generated by wearable technology more accessible to the coach? So I think simplify, really, really high-end technology, but simplify for the end user and make it with a stickability factor.
Because the user at the end of the day is not a tech guy, he's a player, he's a coach.
Correct. Because we're looking for what is this product, how is this product going to improve coaches' decisions, player decisions, and player performance.
Okay. So now, with your permission, we're going to play something, okay?
Good.
So for that, we need to stand. This is one thing. The second thing, I need to slip into something more comfortable. Anybody has a ball at the audience? Whoa, thanks, Shai. I really appreciate it. Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yep.
You're going to answer with one word. By the time that the ball gets to you, you need to answer, okay?
Okay.
And then you need to kick the ball back to me, and you get another question.
Okay. Now, if I was Ronaldo, I wouldn't give you the ball back.
Okay. Ready? Let's see. Far enough? Okay, so what was the most successful moment of your career?
Winning the Champions League in 2008.
What was the worst?
Losing the league to Man City in 2012.
The best manager you worked with?
Sir Alex Ferguson.
That was easy. Who will win the Premiership this year?
Manchester United.
Oh. Who is the best player you ever trained?
Paul Scholes.
And the most challenging one?
Gary Neville.
What would be better for the club? Putting additional 5 million euros into players' transfer budget, or investing 5 million euros into new technology, to buy new technology?
New technology.
New technology. I agree. Is Neymar really worth 222 million euros?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Do your kids ask to come to work with you?
Yes.
What will happen sooner, an Israeli player in Man United or an Israeli technology deployed in the club?
Technology.
Yeah. Another last question from the audience. Question for the audience. Someone wants to ask a question? But a yes, no, or one-word question.
Will Israel win the Champions League?
Israel. I will ask it in another way.
Yeah.
Will there ever be an Israeli player playing for Man United?
Yes.
Do you know the name Eran Zehavi?
Sorry?
Eran Zehavi. You heard the name?
No.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.